Good day, my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters. Today is December 2nd, 2020, and today is Wednesday of the first week of Advent. And our gospel for today is from the account of Matthew, chapter 15, verses 29 to 37. In today's gospel, as a point of our reflection this morning, allow me to share three C's with you. C. Our gospel starts with the first C. And what's the first C, Father John? Our gospel starts with a crisis. There's a crisis. And what's the crisis? The gospel says, and I quote, "Great crowds came to him, bringing with them the lame, the maimed, the blind, and the mute, and many others." Can you imagine? Great crowd of sick people following Jesus without anything to eat. That's a crisis. Multitude of them, great numbers, countless of sick people, not only sick but also hungry. This is a crisis. And there is a situation of sickness and there is a situation of hunger. And this kind of situation, what happened before, is also and still happening nowadays, not only in our community but globally. Globally, this is a pandemic. There is so much hunger everywhere. Hunger for help. Nowadays, there are so many people hunger for food. Hunger for acceptance, hunger for relationships, hunger for forgiveness, hunger for peace. There's so many people, experiencing financial hunger, spiritual hunger. This is a crisis. In our term nowadays, this is a pandemic. And hunger sometimes, it's not a cause of a scarcity or nothingness, but it's because of the lack of people's generosity and compassion. People are not compassionate anymore. That's why, what are we going to do if there are hungry people around us? What are we going to do if there are so many people, it's so many sick people around us? If there is a situation of crisis, what are we going to do? And this leads me to the second C. What are we going to do? Second C, learn to contribute. Learn to contribute. It means share, give. Give. That's why Jesus said, "I have compassion with them." And my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, miracles are going to happen if we start to share and learn to give and learn to contribute what we have. Miracles are start to happen. And Jesus asked them, "How many loaves do we have?" Jesus is asking them, how many loaves do we have? Because the gospel trying to remind us about the reality of life. My dear friends, life is not all about accumulation. But life is all about contribution. Life is not all about getting, but it's all about giving. That's the meaning of life. We are here not to get, but we are here to give. Life is not all about accumulation, but it's all about contribution. My dear friends, never think what you have to offer is insignificant. If we don't contribute, the world will continue to experience pandemic. If we don't learn how to share, there will always be a crisis. Like for example, if you don't know how to share, you will die. Learn from the boxing fight. In the boxing, it's better to give than to receive. It's better to give than to receive. That's why Mother Teresa of Calcutta said, if you cannot feed 100 people, then feed just one. Because there are so many hungry people. There's so many people sick. There's so many people who are longing for our care. Maybe there are some people in your family who needs your attention, who needs your care, who needs your compassion. My dear friends, when we learn the act of contribution, something good is about to happen. What's that? And this will lead me to the final C. If there is a crisis, learn to contribute. Because when you contribute, the final C, there will be a countless blessings. A blessings where overflow. And here, the gospel says the crowd filled, were filled, and they gathered leftovers. Can you imagine? Out of that small, tiny contribution, they gathered leftovers, 7 baskets full. If we learn to give, our first reading says, will tell us, if we learn to give, there will be an experience of countless blessings, a feast of rich food, a feast of well-aged wine, a rich food filled with marrow, and well-aged wines strained clear. Hey, that's the power of contribution. There will be an overflowing abundance. There will be a collision of blessings. My dear friends, the message is this. When we share, we attract abundance. When we share, we attract abundance. When we share, we magnet prosperity. And today, our gospel is reminding us that our God is not a stingy God. When He gave us everything, including Himself. He died on a cross. He emptied Himself. And that is what giving is all about. Today, let me remind myself and you, my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, life is good because God is great. Life is good because our God is generous. Let me end by saying, don't count your blessings. Be the blessing other people count on. And second thing, do not throw your leftovers. Gather your leftovers. Gather them, because there are so many people, poor people, who needs your leftovers. Today, remember the 3C. If there is an experience of crisis, learn to contribute. Because when you contribute, countless blessings will overflow. Today, be the blessing to others. Amen.